I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBN, we're sharing a story of courage, resilience, and faith. We're taking a look at a work by a wonderful author. Her name is Pavla Zakova-Laney, and she has penned a wonderful memoir. It is called Divine Destiny, One Woman's Spiritual Journey. In the book, she takes us from her childhood in Czechoslovakia behind the Iron Curtain through her daring escape and into a life transformed by service and spiritual purpose. It's an unforgettable true story of survival, reinvention, and the power of destiny. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Pavla, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. This is such a powerful story, the story of your life. What inspired you to share your journey with readers on the pages of this wonderful book?
When I finished my Peace Corps service in 2000, after 3 years of teaching in Africa, I looked back at my life and I realized how wonderful and amazing my life, was. And so then I realized that it would be a good idea to share with others, to inspire and encourage others to follow their dreams. So that's how it all started.
Absolutely. Well, it is wonderful that you are sharing your story because it will be very inspirational to others. What was it like growing up behind the Iron Curtain in Czechoslovakia?
Actually, for me, it was not too bad because at the end, eventually I found ballroom dancing, to take care of, of my time. But the major issue was that you could not speak freely.
Mhm.
So you just always had to be careful, to whom you are talking and what you are talking about. But other than that, I really cannot complain. We had all the basics, even though, my mother, she did not have much, but I cannot complain. I had a pretty good life and I ended up doing what I really enjoyed. So it was not too bad for me.
Dancing was really a savior for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And something you pursued throughout your life, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Talk to us about why and when you decided to escape back in 1986.
To begin with, I never wanted to leave, because when I was growing up, I thought that was my country. And plus, I created this image of myself. I was really shy, extremely shy. I was afraid of everything. And so for me to change anything, including, leaving the country, was something unimaginable. But then life happened. And, when I was doing the competitive ballroom dancing, I fell in love with my dance partner, and we were planning on getting married in May of 81. So then he left and he never came back. 5 years later of, waiting, hoping that I would meet someone else, I did not. And in the meantime, he contacted me and he wanted me to join him. So that was the first major reason why I wanted to leave. The secondary one was that because I was a good worker, I was kind of pressured by the communist party to become a member. And I just told them, I don't believe that in order to be a good worker, I have to be a member of any party. So, but anyway, so these were the two reasons why, why I decided to leave.
Absolutely. What were your experiences like in the refugee camp in Austria?
It was like in prison, because, well, I'm saying in prison because that's what I have seen in movies.
Mm.
So when we were there, there were many people. There were many people per room, and it was very stressful. There were people from all around the world. Some of them were there for 15 years, and so some of the people decided that it will be better to go back home than, goes through that. But we decided to exercise, to learn the language, and, keep our minds occupied, stay busy, and, focus why we are there. What's the end of this? So
You found your faith while in Austria as well, correct?
yes. What happened, we had to be in quarantine for 9 days in that large international camp, but we found out at the end that there were gangs. So we asked one of the organizations, international organizations, if they could take us somewhere else after the quarantine. And again, we were blessed, we were lucky because we were taken to a small village where there was a guest house for the refugees. And that was the place where we met first Christians.
That had a life-changing impact on you, right?
Yes, that's how it started.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Eventually, your life brought you to the United States. What was it like starting over in the US, learning the language, building a new life?
I'm telling you, at the beginning, it was extremely challenging because when I came over, not only I could not really understand and speak English, but I also was sick. So all this combined, it was challenging for quite some time. But I was lucky that I was able to stay with a Czech family. They let me stay for 6 weeks. The disadvantage of that one was that they did not really speak English at home. So that did not help me. But eventually, when I got better, I took classes in English, and I found a couple part-time jobs. And so slowly but surely, I was learning the language. But the most interesting job I had at the beginning was as a secretary in a small company. If you can imagine, being a secretary, and phone would ring, and then I could hardly speak English or hardly understand. And so I got all sweaty and, all nervous. So when I picked up the phone, I had to ask usually 3 times the person, could you please spell your name slowly? So it was really challenging at the beginning, but it really helped me because over time, it got better. And then eventually I worked as a waitress, and that also, helped me, and I enjoyed it. So it was extremely challenging to begin with, but slowly but surely it got better.
Being a secretary, not speaking English, that sounds like a tough combination. We can certainly relate to that. Talk to us about your time at Wellesley College and how that shaped your transformation.
When I decided to go back to school, I was afraid because I was already like 10 years out of school, and plus, studying in foreign language. But once I started with a community college because I did not have much funds. I did not have any family here. And I was surprised, how much I enjoyed the classes, and I did so well that at the end I got a scholarship to Wellesley College as a Davis Scholar, as an older student. And I was able even to stay on campus for 2.5 years because, again, I had no family to go to, no other place to go to. So the blessings just continued to come because not only I was on this beautiful campus, but I lived in a cedar lodge, which was a smaller house for 11 of us. Each of us had her own room. So we had our privacy, and I could even have my guinea pig, my first pet. And I loved it. I loved it there. It was extremely challenging, for many other reasons. My mother died at the beginning, when I started in September. Then my guinea pig died too. But I just focused on the studies, and plus I enjoyed just walking through the beautiful campus. So that really, I enjoyed everything there, even though it was very demanding, with the language. I had to record the classes so I could listen to it over and over. Dictionary was my friend every day, all the time. But I had wonderful teachers. I enjoyed every class I took, and it was an eye-opener because I never experienced just women's school just for the women. Because back in Czechoslovakia it was always mixture, boys and girls. It was so wonderful and so amazing. I loved it. I felt blessed beyond my wildest imagination.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it was a wonderful time in your life. The Peace Corps was also a transformative time in your life. Tell us what brought you to the Peace Corps and how that influenced your worldview when you were teaching in Cameroon.
When I was getting close to finishing my classes in December of 94 and thinking about what I wanted to do next, then I listened, to other people, how they were discussing, what to do next and how to, and they started talking about doing interviews for jobs. And they were talking about, that you have to be dressed certain way, you have to sit certain way, and when they taught me that, I just said, that's not me. That's just absolutely not me. And then I remembered before I went back to school, I wanted to see the States. So I bought a bus ticket from Boston to San Francisco. It was a 3-day trip. And I brought my big video camera with me. And along the way, I met a young man who was going with the Peace Corps to Africa. And even though I could not speak still, very much English, I really it sort of got my attention. So then back in 94, when I was thinking what I wanted to do next, then I remembered the Peace Corps. So that's how it all started. And I applied, and I was amazed because the invitation which came from the Peace Corps was, when I opened the invitation, there was inspirational quote from our former Czech president, Václav Havel. I could not believe it. So that's how it all started.
Amazing. It's almost like a sign from God that you're in the right place when you saw that introduction. You have started and have worked at an organization that you began a quarter century ago now, Educare Africa. Tell us about that and why you started it and how it helps people.
When I started teaching in Cameroon, at the beginning, I assumed that the children had all the basics, at the beginning of the school year. And then one day, a couple of months, later, I had a group of students, they came to my house and asked me for a pen. So I gave them pens, and you should see their faces. They were so happy and so grateful just for a pen. So I started to pay attention to what they had and did not have. And I found out that because their parents were mostly small farmers, it was in rural area. So they did not have money for all the basic, they had to pay school fees, the basic school supplies, textbooks, you name it. So then I started helping them a little bit, as much as I could during my Peace Corps service. But at the end, I realized there is no way just one person, helping all these students who were so eager to learn and so grateful for the education, for every little thing I did for them. So then at the end, after 3 years, I wanted to continue to help them. So when I joined my husband here in Albany, and I talked to him because I did not know anything about nonprofits or foundations or anything like that. So he was the one who suggested maybe I could start a nonprofit. So that's what I did. I finished my service in November 99. And in 2000, I started the nonprofit Educare Africa. We got our nonprofit status in September of 2000. So that's how it all started.
Well, it's great. A quarter century of doing good work and helping people who need help. I think that's a wonderful legacy, along with this wonderful book that you've written. It is called Divine Destiny, One Woman's Spiritual Journey. It is a powerful, true story of survival, reinvention, and the call to serve others with courage and faith. Pavla, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and your great spirit. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.